Hey everybody, welcome to Black Spring with Autumn on this Thursday. Now, if you're here for the first time, as always, I'd like to welcome you. I am equally excited to have you here today as well. And today I'd like to open up with something a little bit different. And it would be a bit of inspiration, I think, even in these times, and just a little bit, just kind of keep you abreast. So with that, I'd like to open up with an excerpt from a fantastic book. It's on tyranny. It's 20 lessons from the 20th century, and it's written by Timothy Snyder. Now, I'm opening up with this particular excerpt because I think it's not only it's apropos, but it's also a very American warning in this American election cycle that we are in, and it was very much maybe even ahead of its time. So with that, I will begin. If you will have a look with me. Thomas Jefferson probably never said that eternal vigilance is the price of liberty, but other Americans of his era certainly did. When we think of this saying today, we imagine our righteous vigilance directed outward against misguided and hostile others. We see ourselves as a city on the hill, a stronghold of democracy, looking out for threats that come from abroad. But the sense of the saying was entirely different, that human nature is such that American democracy must be defended from Americans who would exploit its freedoms to bring about its end. The American abolitionist Wendell Phillips did in fact say that, quote, eternal vigilance is the price of liberty, end quote. He added that the manna of popular liberty must be gathered each day or it is rotten, end quote. The record of modern European democracy confirmed the wisdom of those words. The 20th century saw earnest attempts to extend the franchise and establish durable democracies. Yet the democracies that arose after the First World War and the Second often collapsed when a single party seized power in some combination of an election and a coup d'etat. A party emboldened by a favorable election result or motivated by ideology or both might change the system from within. When fascists or Nazis or communists did well in elections in the 1930s or 40s, what followed was some combination of spectacle, repression, and salami tactics, slicing off layers of opposition one by one. Most people were distracted, some were imprisoned, and others were outmatched. Now, ladies and gentlemen, again, if you're just now joining me, that excerpt comes from Timothy Snyder's On Tyranny, 20 Lessons from the 21st Century. From the 20th century. Okay, with that said, I'd like to just briefly go a little bit to briefly bring you into a little bit of last night's debate. I won't make it too painful because if you didn't tune into it, then I'm sure you've heard some buzz by now. But typically we have some of the same flavors, that they're offering on the Democrat side. And I just want to offer a little bit on the winners and losers. So I'll just start very briefly with we'll go ahead and start with the biggest loser in this instance, and that would be Michael Bloomberg. Now, Michael Bloomberg, actually, his stage presence was really pretty aloof, and he appeared to be pretty unprepared. I mean, a bit of skeletons started to come out regarding some interactions or misogynist maybe activity or conduct in the amongst his staff or his personnel. And there were the issues of disclosures and whether he was willing to offer transparency into his background and his past of misogyny. And he was pretty well attacked on that. He was attacked on that very much from Elizabeth Warren and also Joe Biden. So he suffered the most attacks, the most jabs. In fact, I would say that his campaign managers either should be fired or he probably needs to restructure his campaign at this point. His whole platform, his platform was just not very strong at all. And so I guess to me, maybe it speaks to some of the, of course, the controversy and the skepticism in having someone, someone so elite that, he doesn't have to prepare to present his candidacy for the American people. I mean, he's an elite. I mean, he's, he's very, he lives in an ivory tower. It's not, he doesn't have to prepare for his presentations, and that's very, very unfortunate for him. So I think it's pretty weak presentation for someone who may have been a front runner or potentially a front runner. And then we can go on to Joe Biden, which Joe Biden seemed to be fading into the background. Had quite a few, a little bit outbursts, a little bit, trying to grab attention, saying that, oh, why don't you look at your polls, and see what your polls say about me. It says that I'm the one that has the best chance. I'm the one with the best plan for America. I'm your best candidate for America. And yeah, he was just, to me, he was pretty weak as well. And I will continue with Amy Klobuchar. Amy Klobuchar seemed to be on defense of a few things, perhaps some cases, and then of course if it's anything that's soft, for anything that they can do to tether themselves to the black community, then they'll always enter that. She also appeared to be questioned on her foreign policy or foreign relations knowledge. She doesn't seem to be familiar with heads of state. In fact, but then she also touted her experience or her knowledge of the USMCA. So I guess that made up for her not really knowing the head of state's name. So yeah, she was attacked on that. In fact, I think she and Pete Buttigieg had a couple of words. I think many of these candidates they are just not electable. Not only they're not electable, they're not, to me, it's interesting that we've tolerated this kind of ignorance and this kind of unintelligible profile in our government. It's just really not where they need to be, just overall. And in that, just brief on that. Also, I will move on to Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren seemed to be, she had the most spurs and the most jabs. She attacked Michael Bloomberg, of course. She attacked him on, of course, his billionaire status, and just it was basically Bloomberg's attacks were very similar, saying that Bloomberg was basically blaming blacks and Latinos for the housing collapse, and then she goes into her anecdotal stories of learning of people during that time, and she seemed to have a lot of of course. Warren also offered many jabs to Bloomberg on his disclosures with his misogynist activity or accusation. So. But she had the most spurs, I think, for everyone. She even attacked, Bloomberg on his, referring to women as horse-faced lesbians, and, she also, attacked Bloomberg on hiding his taxes, and, of course, Bloomberg is the all-purpose. He's the all-purpose, man for abuse. at this point. So, you know, I guess he should have expected that. That was a shocking thing. It's like, okay, you're a front runner. You're like, do you really want to win? Are you really trying to win this nomination? I'm not really sure. I can't tell right now. So, also, you know, of course, I can go back to Biden. You know, Biden attacked. Of course, Michael Bloomberg's stop and frisk was another point of attack. But, you know, many of these candidates were fading. And I think Bernie Sanders ended up being, Bernie basically just sticks to the script. You know, he just sticks to his script about his Medicare for all. And then the thing that he does, it's really annoying. He talks about industrializing, you know, and, you know, mobilizing everything so that we can face the world and the climate. Our real threat is climate change and climate hoax. And, you know, he was really big on that, but he stuck to his script, and he basically defended. He defended. He was ready to defend his positions on his union or ununion support, or the perception of his union support, as well as, you know, he talked about Medicare, you know, that kind of a bit. And so it's just generally the same kinds of things. It just seems like, you know, they're trying to ramp up their digs, and Michael Bloomberg seemed to suffer the most. So, you know, of course, the biggest thing is, my tag here is that, you know, that's not a unified party. You know, it's not a unified party. It's a very fractured party. In fact, you know, the representation of even the stage, it's not representative of America or America's patriotism. It's not a representative of that. In fact, if you look at the decor, you know, they put up this screen and there's sparse stars and a piece of the flag here and there. To me, it's pretty fragmented. They have a very fragmented view of this country, and it represents, it's also very, it's just not, it's not a clear view of America. It looks like something that, it looks very divided. It's a very divided representation visual that they provide in their backgrounds. No, there's nothing patriotic about it at all. It's all simulated, some simulated pieces of the American flag, which I think is pretty, you know, pretty disrespectful. In fact, you know, if you're not going to do the flag, just don't do it at all. You know, but there again, you know, that's the party that wants to win America. And I think, you know, we all need to remain active and stay involved. So, with that said, I'm happy that everyone showed up today. And let me know what you think in the comments, and let me know your concerns. Also, it's really helpful if you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell. And also, if you could like, the likes are also very helpful for conservative voice suppression. And also, it helps, you know, helps to get the feedback. It's always great to get the feedback from you guys. So, I'd like to thank you again for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And I look forward to seeing you again. Have a great Thursday.